China's C929 has officially entered the flight testing stage in 2025. This twin-aisle, long-range aircraft is developed by COMAC, China's state-owned commercial aircraft manufacturer, and it's positioned to compete directly with the Boeing 787 and the Airbus A350. The program, which was originally a joint venture between China and Russia, is now fully under Chinese control after Russia exited the project. Renamed from CR929 to C929, the aircraft now stands as the centerpiece of China's ambition to enter the long-haul market traditionally dominated by the US and Europe. Let's begin with the specs. The C929 is designed to seat approximately 280 passengers. For comparison, the Boeing 787 carries between 242 and 296 passengers, depending on its variant, while the Airbus A350 ranges from 300 to 350. So the C929 is positioned neatly between these two models in terms of capacity. Now let's talk about range, one of the most important performance measures for long-haul aircraft. The C929 is targeting a range of around 7,500 miles. The Boeing 787-9 flies up to 7,530 miles, while the Airbus A350-900 can reach approximately 8,000 miles, with the A350-1000 pushing beyond 9,000. This places the C929 close enough to make it viable on intercontinental routes like Beijing to Los Angeles or Shanghai to London. On cabin dimensions, the C929 is expected to offer a width of 5.5 meters. Compare that to the 5.28 meters of the Boeing 787 and the 5.34 meters of the Airbus A350. The extra width may not sound like much on paper, but it gives airlines more flexibility for seating configurations and improves passenger comfort, especially on flights that can last up to 15 hours. The aircraft will also be built with over 50% composite materials, with the rest made of titanium and advanced aluminum alloys. This puts it in line with modern design trends, like the Boeing 787 and Airbus A350, which also use high composite content to reduce weight and improve fuel efficiency. Now, here's a key transition. Building the airframe is one thing, but controlling the systems inside the aircraft is what makes a nation truly competitive. COMAC has focused heavily on developing indigenous systems. The C929 will feature 10 major systems, including avionics, environmental control, hydraulic systems, and flight controls, sourced largely from Chinese suppliers. This is a marked change from the C919, which relied heavily on Western suppliers. Inside the cockpit, the C929 will have an advanced avionics suite featuring touchscreens, modular displays, and adaptive lighting. Seating and controls are adjustable, designed for pilot comfort over long hauls. It's not quite as sleek as the Boeing 787's HUD or the A350's integrated flight systems, but the gap is closing fast. And yes, China is building its own engine. The CJ2000 engine, currently in development, is designed to deliver up to 35 tons of thrust, matching GE's yanks used in the Boeing 787. COMAC aims to equip the C929 with this engine by the end of the decade. If they succeed, it will mark the end of China's reliance on foreign engine manufacturers like General Electric and Rolls-Royce. Of course, building an engine isn't just about power, it's about performance over time. Can the CJ2000 match the fuel economy and durability of its Western counterparts? That remains to be seen. But even aiming for that benchmark is a bold move. So how does the C929 compare to its rivals on cost? Industry insiders suggest COMAC will price the C929 significantly lower than both the Boeing 787 and the Airbus A350, making it attractive for budget-conscious airlines, especially in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. That's a big deal. Boeing and Airbus both rely heavily on widebody sales to balance out narrow-body competition. A lower-cost, comparable performance aircraft changes that equation. And here's a quick pattern interrupt. Remember when Chinese smartphones were dismissed a decade ago? Fast forward to today, and brands like Xiaomi and Huawei are dominating global sales. Could the same playbook work in aviation? Time will tell, but the parallels are worth noting. Let's move to certification, which could be the biggest challenge. Currently, the C929 is certified only for the Chinese domestic market. But without approval from regulators like the FAA in the US or EASA in Europe, the aircraft cannot fly internationally for most airlines. COMAC has not yet submitted the C929 for international certification, but it's widely believed that they will in the next few years. If successful, it could open the floodgates for global orders, especially in countries looking to diversify their fleets beyond Boeing and Airbus. In the meantime, COMAC is focusing heavily on domestic airlines. China is forecast to require more than 9,000 new aircraft over the next 20 years. Even if the C929 captures a fraction of that market, it will be a success by most industry standards. Now here's a cliffhanger worth watching. What happens when China begins exporting the C929 to Belt and Road Initiative partner countries? Nations that may be more willing to accept Chinese certification standards. If that network grows, it could start forming an entirely parallel aviation economy. And let's not forget the broader strategy here. COMAC isn't stopping with the C929. Plans for the C939 and even a supersonic C949 are already in early development. That means China isn't just catching up, it's building momentum. The country is working toward complete vertical integration of aircraft design, production, systems, and engines. So, how does this all land with Western manufacturers? Boeing is currently dealing with production delays, regulatory scrutiny, and a backlog of orders. Airbus is managing strong demand, but struggling with supply chain issues. Into this environment steps COMAC with a clean sheet design and aggressive pricing. And it's not just a threat, it's a signal. China is serious about aerospace dominance. The question now isn't whether the C929 is competitive. It's how quickly and how widely it will be adopted. Will we see C929s flying into JFK or LAX in the next 10 years? Or will geopolitics, certification roadblocks, and airline hesitation slow things down? Right now, the C929 represents a powerful combination of ambition, capability, and timing. And while it may not dethrone Boeing or Airbus tomorrow, it's clearly earned its place at the table. Whether you're an aviation enthusiast, a policy analyst, or just someone booking a future flight, the C929 is a jet worth watching. The global duopoly may be turning into a trio poly, and the sky, as always, is the limit.